with your project? Not so much what you...
heritage?
Yeah. I think would...
Do you want me to talk about specifically how I perceive heritage and what I did for heritage?
If you think that was the starting point, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is it recording right
Yeah.
now? Oh,
Just
great.
keep it recording. No, it's a lot easier to just keep talking without having to turn it on and off.
Okay. Heritage was definitely the starting point of this for me because I had never been in that sort of environment before where the teacher was not really, asserting their authority on me, but instead was trying to provoke some sort of discussion between me and the members of my class. And I had this really embarrassing moment when I kind of just poured my heart out in front of the class and cried in front of everybody. And that was definitely hard to go through, but I think ultimately I grew from it and I developed a kind of trust for the people in my class. And what I put into that project, our expectations for that project were definitely also different because we were told, come up with an idea, create a language around that idea, and somehow create a universal accessibility. And I don't think I achieved that, but I think trying to pursue that goal, which was way beyond anything that I'd ever been expected to do before, definitely was a huge, huge responsibility.
Mr. Basso, please call 500. Mr. Basso, 500.
And I definitely grew a lot from that. So I think being treated as if your thoughts and your opinions and what you can do really matters in an educational space was definitely life-changing, I think.
What is it that you think we're trying to do here? What is it that we're doing here?
I think we're creating people that think differently and in a way that is valued in our time today. I think that before, when things like being able to follow orders and instructions and work within a certain structure, when that stuff was valued, I think that time has passed, and I think now what we need is people who are able to not think linearly, but in a way that is conceptual, creative, and critical. And if we bring these people together through a kind of mutual passion, something that they care about, they can do things that will have emotional impacts on bigger audiences, and ultimately that's what will drive change.
What was the actual object you created for Heritage? What did you actually do?
That was a moment in my life that I looked at with great regret. And it was hard to do, I guess, because it got rid of some of the guilt, but I think that was the first project really that came from school where I was forced to be self-reflective, and that made me more aware of how I am with certain relationships and how I interact with certain relationships. And yeah, I think that project was one of the most honest things I've ever done.
When you say forced to be self-reflective, I think a lot of teachers think they're providing opportunity for self-reflection. So maybe be a bit more clear about what you mean.
Well, I think a lot of teachers, when they approach a kind of educational space, they tend to avoid being vulnerable themselves because they want to assert this authority. But once you present yourself to students as somebody who they can't really interact with on a personal or emotional level, they're not willing to be vulnerable to you. So ultimately, I think as a teacher, that needs to make the first step into creating that environment, and then the student will respond. If the teacher is not willing to be vulnerable, then they can't expect their students to be.
I think that's even demonstrated in the geography of the classroom, the way the tables are set up, the way that everybody faces the front of the class, or they face the teacher's desk, with the teacher having their own space while students either have to share community or isolated by individual. You want to switch her up?
Yes.
Or we can be there together. You want to both sit? Because
He can go on
there
his
seems
own
to be a
for
bit
a
of
bit.
Let's do one more individual and then we can...
I'm just going to